So in this 41st episode of Happily Entangled AF, we are talking today about PDAs, public displays of affection, and I'd like to ask you right away to let us know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on PDAs, and do you live that PDA lifestyle? You know, do you and your significant other embrace each other in public amongst your friends and family? Is it something that comes normally and naturally to you, or is it something that you still feel a little bit awkward or uneasy about?
After we pray, we sort of develop this kind of ritual where Fazeer will get up and he will mash my feet, and then he will pull me up, holding my hand. He will give me a kiss, or we'll kiss each other, and then we'll hug each other. Now sometimes it'll be like a quick thing depending on how much time we have, and then sometimes it'll be a longer embrace and we may chat a little, you know, giggle a little bit, and then we will move on to do our thing, pull our mats and pack it away. So this was something we started doing when we just got married, and it just kind of developed into our little ritual, and we would only do that when we pray at home. But then we started doing it when we would go to my parents' house, or we would go to friends' houses and we pray. He would come after and he would do the same thing. It was a little awkward initially, but you know, after a while it just became the norm, to the point where my sister, one of them, would say, don't forget you have to go and kiss your wife and pull her up. So, you know, things just kind of became the norm.
Before you can address the issue of PDA, public displays of affection, I think you need to address the issue of the first PDA, which is private displays of affection. Because if you're not doing it privately, then you really shouldn't be doing it publicly. If it's not being done privately in the first instance, then the public display of affection is just a mama guy or just for show. So you really then have to go back to check your intentions to see, why are you doing the PDA? Is it because this is how you generally are, or is it because, you know, you want to hold the hand of your trophy wife, or in our instance, the trophy husband?
So speaking about trophy husband, my trophy husband likes to hold my hands and walk through the malls. Now, looking at us, you might think, oh, he's so romantic. He says it's economic. If he holds onto my hand, that means I can't go shopping in all the stores. But, you know, you and I both know he shops more than I do. So, fellas, if you're looking for an excuse to hold onto your partner's hand, just borrow a page from Fazeer, say it's economic, but remember, pay your copyright dues.
Gentlemen, I just want you to know that if you still subscribe to that old school toxic masculinity theory that expressing emotions or showing affection is not becoming of a man or are unmanly traits, I want to let you know that we now live in 2021, and it is time to leave that perspective, that belief in the past where it belongs. There is absolutely nothing wrong with expressing emotion or showing affection. In fact, it is actually quite a manly thing to be able to do so, quite a manly thing to be able to make yourself strong enough to be vulnerable to express your emotions and or affection. I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that you will start practicing, because I don't expect you to get comfortable with it necessarily overnight, but start practicing privately, and eventually you'll become comfortable publicly automatically without any prompting from the audience, from me and Asma, or from even your spouse. It'll just happen naturally. One day you'll reach for your hand while you're walking through the mall together, and in that moment you'll remember my line about it being economic and not romantic. And you know what? It's fine, you could use it. We'll waive the copyright on it. So speaking about toxic perspectives, there is another one that needs to be included in this conversation, and that is the toxic perspective that PDAs are a shameful act. This tends to be a view that many older ultra-conservative, sometimes religious people tend to hold, but this is actually something that is quite misguided. For instance, Asma and I are Muslim, as you know, and there is nothing in our religious manual, handbook, doctrine, practice, rituals, beliefs that tell us that we're not allowed to hold hands in public or to embrace each other publicly, etc. That just does not exist. So we are not being immoral by doing this. I think it really boils down to a question of what is appropriate at the time, in the environment, in the country, for the culture, etc. These are cultural things, or things that require you know, sensitivities for place and time per se. But to say that this is a shameful act, or to continue to perpetuate that belief because this is what grandma and grandpa believed, or your mom and dad believe, or somebody who is from 1942 believes and wants you to continue to believe, nah, time to pell that through the door and send it back in the past where it belongs.
One night we head into the pharmacy in Price Plaza, right? So we jump into the van, we continue our conversation, we're giggling, holding hands, and we're walking alone. And then these two girls said something to us. So we stop and we're like, could you please repeat? And they're like, hashtag relationship goals. And we're like, what does that even mean? Because, you know, the difference in age, right? So they explained it to us and they said we are their relationship goals. That was like so mind-blowing for us because this is our normal everyday kind of thing. We hold hands, we chat, and we just do our thing. So when they said that to us, it was like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Simply put, you never know who your love is going to inspire. Hashtag relationship goals.
A few years ago, we were taking my nephew to the Waterfall Trust. He was just about 2 years old then, and he's sitting in the backseat with my sister and Fazeer and I in front. Now I have this thing when I get into the vehicle, I would put my elbow on the pockets and then I'll rest my palm on his leg. And sometimes he would rest his hands on my leg, or we'll just, you know, hold hands right there. And then we heard my nephew while we're driving along, he says, Auntie Lima, could you hold my hands please?
And this, I think, is one of the greatest benefits of PDAs, in that they send such strong signals, especially so to our children and to those young impressionable minds. You can't say everything to teach them everything. They learn so much from just observing our behaviors. Can you imagine how positive an example it is for a 2-year-old to see such open display of affection? Can you imagine what he himself will be like as a man when he grows older? And this is one of the reasons why it is so important that we all, especially us gentlemen, that we all get so much more comfortable with open, free-flowing PDAs.
So it's not just the 2-year-olds that have these impressionable minds. Fazeer's nieces, they tend to get very squirmish when he's behaving his normal self with me, hugging, kissing, holding my hands. You know these teenagers, how they operate, right? However, recently we have come to learn that these are the goals that they have also set for when they are looking for relationships and when they're looking for their partners. And this is something they shared with us just recently, because they were saying that they know what they want, they know what they're not going to settle for, and they know what they're looking for. So I think, well, we think that this is where parents come in. And if parents show these PDAs, then you are leaving a great example for your children. So you know that you're not going to have to worry about the partners that they're going to be looking for. And there's a greater chance that they're not going to end up with emotionally challenged partners.
Again, this is a call to action for men in particular and fathers of girls especially, to let you know that the best lessons that you can teach to your daughters, to your nieces, to the women folk in your family is by your action. The way you treat their mother, the way you treat your women folk, they are looking on at you and they take their cues from you. So if you don't want your daughter to end up in relationships with abusive guys, or you would like your daughter to end up in a relationship with someone who is going to shower her with affection, the best way to teach that to her is to be that person to her mother, to be that example, so she can always say, hey, I don't want any man who doesn't measure up to my father's standards, my uncle's standards, my big brother's standards, etc. You get the gist. So one of the best benefits of PDAs, no matter how much they scream and squirm and say or pretend that they're grossed out, which my nieces do all the time. Oh my god, Uncle Bo, you're nasty, and so on and so forth. That's okay. I'll take that scream and squirm from them if it means that in however long from now, however many years from now, at some point in time, they are going to be influenced by that love that Asma and I share for each other in choosing the partner that they in turn give their love to. I hope that makes sense to you.
After sharing all of this with you, are you comfortable with PDAs? Is it something that you already do? Is it something that you intend to do now that you have gotten all this information? Or is it something that doesn't rest too well with you at this moment? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, follow and subscribe. And we will see you next week, please God. Thanks for viewing episode 41 of Happily Entangled AF. Bye for now.